Hi. I'm Mara Evans, and 3 years ago, I did something absolutely reckless. I quit my job. But not just any job. No, I walked away from my cushy, high-paying position at Miller & Gray, the dream job everyone tells you to go for. It wasn't the kind of decision that made sense on paper. I had no plan, no backup, just this deep, gut-level feeling that if I didn't leave, I'd be trapped forever. I'd lose myself. I remember that day so clearly. I sat there in the break room, staring at my reflection in a plastic coffee cup, realizing I didn't recognize myself anymore. I'd become a stranger to my own life. The Mara who used to dream big, the girl who painted entire walls as a kid, was now trapped in endless meetings, buried in spreadsheets. It hit me like a tidal wave. This isn't who I am. That same day, I walked into my boss's office, handed him my resignation, and left. No backup job. No plan. Just freedom. The thrill was intoxicating. I felt like I'd just stepped off a cliff into a sky I'd never known was there. My heart was pounding, but it wasn't from fear, it was pure, unfiltered excitement. I remember walking through the city, feeling like I was seeing it all for the first time. Colors were brighter, the air smelled fresher, even the sounds of the cars felt like music. I had no idea what would come next, but for the first time in years, I was alive. And what came next? Well, I started painting. I'd always dreamed of being an artist, so I threw myself into it with everything I had. I rented a tiny, run-down studio with paint chipping off the walls and a view of a rusty fire escape. It was cramped and dimly lit, but it was mine. I could paint till 3 a.m., blast music, cover the floors in paint. No one could tell me otherwise. I was free. But what they don't tell you about freedom is how terrifying it can be. The first month was amazing. I painted day and night, fueled by inspiration, adrenaline, and an endless supply of instant ramen. But then, my savings started dwindling. I watched my bank balance drain faster than I'd ever expected. I'd planned for lean times, but not this lean. Bills piled up. Groceries got scarcer. Eventually, I had to sell my car, then most of my furniture. I traded my apartment for an even smaller space with cracked windows and thin walls. I'd lie awake at night, hearing my neighbors argue, wondering if I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. The days blurred together, each one a battle between hope and doubt. I was taking on tiny commissions here and there, pet portraits, logos, whatever I could get. It wasn't glamorous, but it kept me going. Until, one day, I got a surprise email. It was from a gallery owner. Yes, a real gallery owner, who'd seen my work online. He loved it and wanted to feature it in an upcoming showcase. I thought it was a prank. I almost deleted the email. But it was real. When the day of the showcase arrived, I'd never felt more excited or more terrified in my life. I'd spent weeks preparing, painting every waking hour to perfect the pieces I'd bring. This was my chance, my one shot to prove to myself that this leap had been worth it. I walked into the gallery with my heart in my throat, watching people wander through the space, stopping to look at my work. Some of them even nodded thoughtfully. I was on the edge of glory. But the excitement was short-lived. In the middle of the event, I heard murmurs. People started whispering, frowning at my paintings. My heart dropped. One woman asked, "Is this really original? I think I've seen something similar online." And then, another person chimed in, and then another. They were accusing me of copying someone else's work. I felt my stomach turn to ice. I hadn't copied anyone. These pieces were straight from my heart. But suddenly, I was standing in the middle of a storm I couldn't control. The gallery owner pulled me aside, whispering urgently, "Is there any truth to this? We can't have a scandal here." I tried to explain, but he just shook his head, saying, "You need to fix this, Mara. Fast." After that night, I was devastated. My work, my name, everything felt tainted. No gallery would touch me, no buyers wanted my art. I'd gone from nearly making it to rock bottom in an instant. 4 days, I sat in my studio, staring at the empty canvases, feeling like my dream had been ripped from me. It was as if the world had slammed the door shut just as I was stepping through it. And then, out of nowhere, a friend reached out. She'd heard what happened and invited me to come out to her family's cabin in the mountains. "Just take a break," she said. "You need to get away." I was reluctant at first, but eventually, I agreed. I needed space to breathe. In the mountains, surrounded by nature, I started to heal. I spent hours hiking, staring at the vastness of the sky, the way the light changed the colors of the trees. I sketched, painted, but not for anyone, just for me. Slowly, I began to rediscover the joy of art, of creating without expectation or fear. And then, one morning, I woke up with an idea. I thought back to my old job, the world I'd left behind, and I realized I wanted to do something different, something bigger. I wanted to create art that meant something, that helped people. I started painting scenes inspired by my time in the mountains, by the freedom and beauty I'd found there. I painted stories of resilience, of overcoming darkness. I painted for everyone who had ever felt lost or alone. When I returned to the city, I knew what I had to do. I started reaching out to charities, community centers, youth programs, offering to donate my art, to give workshops, to paint murals. Slowly but surely, people began to see my work again. This time, not in the pristine halls of galleries, but on the walls of shelters, hospitals, community spaces. My name started to spread in a different way, and this time, it felt right. Months passed, and then a year. My art career wasn't what I'd expected. I wasn't a gallery darling, I wasn't a millionaire. But I'd found something better, a purpose. I'd become an artist not for fame or fortune, but for connection, for healing. And in doing so, I'd built a life that was entirely, beautifully, mine. People still ask me, "Mara, was it worth it?" I think about it every time. Because, yes, there was struggle, doubt, moments I thought I'd lost everything. But through it all, I found something real. I found myself. So if you're standing there, wondering if you have the strength to leap, let me tell you, you do. The fall will be scary, but the journey will lead you to places you never imagined.